Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Namaskar and good evening, everybody. I once again welcome all of you to this Sunday webinar of Philosophy Family. Well, today we have with us Dr. Kailash Chandra Moharana, our regular coordinator. Now, today he has desired a wish and Philosophy Family wanted that he should deliver a talk on Sri Aurobindo because he is practically connected with the activities of Sri Aurobindo Ashram at various levels. So we thought we should learn from him about Sri Aurobindo's philosophy. So with this aim, we thought of listening to Dr. Kailash Maharana sir. I think we need no introduction because Dr. Maharana is a regular coordinator and is well known to all of us. So without wasting much time, I welcome all the participants to this webinar, and I request all of them to actively involve during the interaction session so that we can learn from each other. So I also welcome our host and admin, Professor Pramod Kumar Das, and all senior professors, Professor Anup Rai, Professor Srivastava, Professor Ghosh, and all others. So with these words, without wasting much time, let us all move to Professor Dr. Kailash Chandra Moharana for delivering a talk on Sri Aurobindo and human unity. So let us move to Kailash Moharana sir for the talk. Over to Dr. Moharana. Welcome, sir.
Okay, thanks so much. Okay, Dr. Rao. And I must extend my gratitude to my friends of philosophy family to place my name as a speaker in the Sunday webinar today. And the topic is Sri Aurobindo and human unity. And you know that Sri Aurobindo was a great visionary, and his contribution to the society, to the world, cannot be expressed in words. And he has written a number of books for the spiritual progress of human beings. And his yoga is known as integral yoga or samagra yoga. And for the first time, he has introduced that how there is evolution from matter to spirit, how matter can be spiritualized. So I do not want to give much introduction on Sri Aurobindo because Sri Aurobindo is accepted as a great philosopher, a poet, Mahajogi, revolutionary, and a great poet. We all are acquainted with Sri Aurobindo, and his philosophy may be classified into the spiritual philosophy and political philosophy. He has a great number of contribution for the spiritualizing the human minds, and you know the political contribution of Sri Aurobindo. And Sri Aurobindo knew that spiritual life or divine life can and must be realized by one and all. For him, man should transcend the human limitation and grow into the fulfillment. He should achieve an earthly immortality on his efforts directed towards bringing harmony and unity among the mankind on the basis of spirituality. Because the ultimate aim of his spiritual philosophy was to bring the divine life on the earth, and the ultimate aim of his political philosophy was to establish the idea of world union. And in the present talk, I have intended to reflect on the ideal of human unity as envisaged by Sri Aurobindo. So before discussing the human unity as envisaged by Sri Aurobindo, let me present what unity is as presented by Sri Aurobindo. Unity is an inevitable aim of nature, as Sri Aurobindo says. He says that unity of mankind is also a part of the nature and nature's eventual scheme, and it must come around. He said that man is there to offer himself in the universe. So man cannot deny himself. It is his first business to evolve himself and to exceed himself. He has to enlarge his partial being into a complete being. And he wants to move from the partial consciousness to the complete consciousness. He wants to achieve mastery of his environment and to establish the world union and world harmony. His aim is to realize his individuality and to enlarge it into a cosmic self and a universal self on the spiritual light of existence. Sri Aurobindo states that the real aim of nature is a true unity with rich diversity. He had seen the unity in diversity. For him, all life is one in essential plan and principle of this nature. And everything is a plant in this nature. And from matter to spirit, he has put his vision and he has analyzed how the spirit is hidden in matter, and matter can be evolved into the spirit. The unity of life admits and encourages the infinite diversity. This is the secret of life. Nature insists equally in all her works upon unity and diversity. Sri Aurobindo says that a real spiritual and psychological unity can allow a free diversity. He has found that unity is the very basis of existence. It's the foundation of all the things in the earth. And he had seen the how everything moves evolution, that is in the passage of evolution, that is from diversity, um, um, and from simple to complex, from lower consciousness to higher consciousness, from mind to supermind. So we have seen, and we have seen that how Sri Aurobindo has described everything, has given a beautiful plan of transformation from lower consciousness to higher consciousness, from matter to spirit. And he had shown that how informity is not the law of life. Life exists by diversity. In this universe, every group, every being shall take rest in its universality. The settled order of a human world is to be desired and transformed for a greater world culture. In the world, in the world culture, all humanity must be united. The ideas of unity and oneness are found throughout human history that Sri Aurobindo has told in human, that is the in the in the ideal of human unity. The ideas remind us that in essence we all are one. A well-known saying from the ancient Indian text depicts the statement that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It means the world is one family. Heraclitus, the pre-Socratic philosopher, has also says that it is a wisdom to admit that all things are one. In the traditional motto of the United States, it is said that out of many, one. Sri Aurobindo finds liberty, equality, and fraternity as the voice of the age of enlightenment. There are various forces of the world which are working towards unity and oneness in spite of uncertainty of war, terrorism, political and economic struggle, environment problem, and many unending crises of the nature. These are the indicators of the present state of humanity. Then where lies the scope to realize the unity? Where is the ideal of unity in mankind? But really is a human unity. How can I move towards human unity? There are different questions come to our mind. The thousands years ago, Rig Vedic hymns express the highest ideas of human unity. It's the practice of the sense of living human oneness in thought, feeling, and life. The thought and practice of this ideal leads to the true love of humanity and expresses the real unity between man and man. This idea of human unity implies that there is a necessity of inner discovery in order to know what one truly is behind the social, moral, cultural, racial, and hereditary appearances. Sri Aurobindo has told us that we are convinced by experience that above the mind there is a consciousness much wiser than the mental wisdom. There is a will much more powerful than the human will. All our endeavor is to make a conscious of higher consciousness which will govern our lives and actions and organize all our activities. For Sri Aurobindo, this is the secret of constant growth, endless progress, and establishment of human unity. Sri Aurobindo's philosophy is sometimes misunderstood by people. Some people misunderstand that the ultimate aim of Sri Aurobindo is meditation and contemplation. Even the aim of his withdrawal to Pondicherry is also misunderstood to be uh, the salvation or mukti or nirvana or anything personal. But indeed, Sri Aurobindo's aim was to find the secret of perfect life for the whole of humanity. His goal is not something remote heaven. He was not interested in possessing heaven. His aim was to awake life on the earth, safe and perfect for man. All his life was an impassioned champion for the cause of human unity. His vision was to descend the supramental consciousness and to manifest it on the earth for the greater welfare of human beings, for the spiritual progress of human beings, to make the people divine. During the present century, philosophers all over the world have taken a gloomy view of the future of man. It is Sri Aurobindo who has put an optimistic and confident view on man, his nature, and human unity. In his epic Savitri, he writes very beautifully that how man is going to be divinized. He has said, Earth shall be made a home of heaven's light, a sheer heaven born shall lodge in human breast, the superconscient beam shall touch man's eye, and the truth conscious world come down to earth, invading matter with spirit's ray, awaking its silence to immortal thought. Hello, hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Audible, sir. Audible.
Okay, please. So the above lines of Savitri make us clear that Sri Aurobindo is very much confident about the future of humanity, while other thinkers of our time think of the future of man in the bleakest possible terms. Sri Aurobindo had seen a greater potential in man than seen by any other thinkers. For him, mind of a human being is not the highest level of consciousness. He had discovered the secret of human mind. This secret is an evolutionary leap in human consciousness. In the book, The Life Divine, he has clearly stated that man is destined to rise beyond the limitations of mental consciousness to a higher level of consciousness. This is a state where the mental of ignorance, egoism, division, suffering, and the death will fall away from him. This higher level of consciousness is called by Sri Aurobindo as supramental consciousness. Sri Aurobindo has come to this earth to bring it down and make it operative in human life on earth. It is Sri Aurobindo's mission in life. The descent and manifestation of supramental consciousness, as Sri Aurobindo says, would solve the current evolutionary paradox faced by human beings. It could also bring the fulfillment of individual life and collective life. Sri Aurobindo has mentioned the problem of man's collective life in two of his major books, that is Human Cycle and the Ideal of Human Unity. In these two books, he has suggested practical ways to attain the unification of mankind to achieve higher aim of human existence on this planet. He has suggested how to maintain diversity in oneness through the religion of humanity. Sri Aurobindo firmly believes that nature is moving towards the goal of unification of humanity. We know that man has formed various groups, society, and collectivities during the long human history. In the earliest, it was family. It was family. Now it has become the most durable atomic unity of the society. Then it has formed various clans, tribes, kingdoms, etc., where humanity has been experienced. Next to family, the nation has proved to be the most durable social structure. But unfortunately, the nationhood has become a barrier to the enlargement of social unity towards a greater unification of mankind. The larger unification has failed to solve the crisis of human beings. Then there was an attempt in establishing institutional religion. It also failed in unification of humanity. Sri Aurobindo found a new way of grouping of nations, that is, grouping of Europe into Western and Eastern bloc of the nations. Sri Aurobindo has seen that after First World War, there was a need for world organization, although League of the Nation could not prevent the Second World War. It paved the way for the formation of United Nations uh, organization. It began with a great hope that this great organization finds itself helpless in responding to the need and aspiration of mankind. Till now, only two units have proved stable: their family and nation. The UNO is no more than a hopeful beginning, but it has shown its helplessness in solving many major problems and crises of times. In his book, Ideal of Humanity, Sri Aurobindo mentioned that UNO has been the most that is helpless spectators of the events. In, in many times, Sri Aurobindo had seen that UNO has been a helpless spectators of the events. Sri Aurobindo is aware of the difficulties which lie ahead in the possibility of international unity. He predicts that if such a power emerges and moves towards world domination, then a coalition will be formed against by almost all powers capable of opposing it. Sri Aurobindo was hopeful that the future will be shaped by not the ideas of not by the ideas of the thinkers, but by the practical minds of the politicians. Sri Aurobindo knows that the formation of such international organization could prevent the crisis like war for some time, but could not stop them altogether. Hence, Sri Aurobindo thinks of the political and administration unification of mankind. For him, the proposed unification can be registered by the collective national egoism. For this, one need to think about infirmity and liberty. Sri Aurobindo is very much conscious that the principle of liberty will resist and claim a more flexible and free system to achieve world unification. The principle of uniformity will help the mankind to come together on uniform basis when the target of uniformity, the liberty is achieved, then the dream of human unity would seem realistic. Sri Aurobindo has given the first principle of human unity. To him, it should be a system of free and natural groupings. It leaves no room for internal discourse, suppression, or depression, and revolt between race and people. In the ideal of human unity, Sri Aurobindo writes that for the present, let us note that it was strongly against a wider recognition of the newborn ideas. Sri Aurobindo dreamt of the need for administrative unity. He expects that there should be the centralization of all controls, military and police, administrative, judiciary, legislative, economic, social, and cultural in the one international authority. Sri Aurobindo sounds clear that a common world culture is the most probable outcome. It can remove all the obstacles by the closure of the intellectual, cultural, and physical intercourse. The variety of language would not be a hindrance in achieving the goal of human unity. The individual will be a small unity, the smallest unity. Hence, it is essential for an individual to be free and progressive. Then he is able to impart his own creativeness and consciousness to the mass. Then only a progressive society becomes possible. On the journey to the goal of human unity, Sri Aurobindo is conscious of the value and importance of the diversity. For him, uniformity is not the law of life. Life exists by diversity. Sri Aurobindo is in the conception of free world union. It is more reliable and best solution than a world federation. The world union starts on the national basis. Gradually, it undergoes a radical transformation. This transformation or change would be the growth of living idea or religion of humanity. Sri Aurobindo states that religion of humanity is the very essence of humanity. Sri Aurobindo divides it into two parts. One is intellectual religion of humanity, and second is spiritual religion of humanity. The former strengthens the human being to unbiased and impartial. It reflects the principle that the mind of man should be released from all bonds and bias. It should allow to enjoy freedom and opportunity. These ideas should be practically implemented. Whatever humanism the world experience is the result of intellectual religion of humanity. Human egoism is the enemy which stands in the way of a religion of humanity. It could be the form of egoism of individual or the egoism of the class. Religion of humanity establishes a real unity between man and man, a living sense of human oneness and practice of human oneness in thought, feeling, and life. Sri Aurobindo states that The freedom, equality, and brotherhood are the three godheads of the soul. They cannot be really achieved through external machinery of the society or the individual and the common ego. He says that ego cannot speak of fraternity unless and until the goals are common. For him, brotherhood is the real key to the triple gospel of the ideas of humanity. The union of liberty and equality can be achieved by the power of a human brotherhood only. It cannot be founded on anything else. Brotherhood exists only in the soul and by the soul. Freedom, equality, and unity are the eternal attributes of the spirit. Freedom should be the foundation stone of this humanity. When human beings practically recognize this truth, then there will be awakening of the soul of the man. This is the inner meaning of religion of that is the religion of humanity. What Sri Aurobindo means by a religion of humanity is not some cradle religion, old or new. It is the religion which the whole world would accept. Here, religion of humanity means a system of beliefs held with order and faith. Here, humanity means having a single soul, and no matter where one is born or not. This is the universalization of consciousness. It will not result on the destruction of individuality nor suppression of variety. The human soul needs freedom to grow, to be creatively adventurous. This change or transformation in consciousness is prerequisite for the solution of the most of the current problems. For Sri Aurobindo, religion of humanity is the weapon of selfless people. It can be fulfilled, it can fulfill the life of the race and attain the goal of humanity. For Sri Aurobindo, the human race has to follow the religion of humanity and spiritualizes itself by making spirituality as the general law of humanity. As visionary, as a great visionary, Sri Aurobindo says that sooner or later humanity as a whole has to think about the unification of human life on earth. And so coming to the spiritual religion of humanity, Sri Aurobindo has said that spiritual religion of humanity is the hope for the future. By this, we mean that it is a universal religion. It is a thing of creed and intellectual belief, and there is no dogma in it. Man can has tried unity by that means. And many times we have we have failed to maintain what religion is. But Sri Aurobindo has beautifully explained in his book, The Ideal of Human Unity, that what spiritual religion is, what the religion of humanity is. And Sri Aurobindo has said that there's a secret spirit, there's a divine reality which said that we all are one, that humanity is the highest present vehicle on earth, that human race and human beings are the means by which it will, it will progressively reveal itself, and the time will come when the higher hope of humanity will reveal on this earth. Thanks so much. So it is here. So it's all about that is the ideal of humanity that Sri Aurobindo had established.
Thank you, Dr. Maharana, for your beautiful presentation. Just I am muting 1 minute. Okay. So I shall have my observation after the observations of others. So now I request Ranjit sir to have his observation. Dr. Ranjit Ghosh sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Das. Now, Dr. Kailash Moharana has given us the views of Aurobindo. It is actually, I should say, it is many-faceted, because philosophy of reality, of idealism, it is also a philosophy of pragmatism. So many things are totally, we should say, it is a type of mixture of all these views, all these isms we find in Sri Aurobindo's philosophy. Because you see, when we are talking about unity, then Aurobindo is talking about political unity, administrative unity. So we know that from Aurobindo's life, that prior to become a spiritual man altogether, he also was a political activist, and he was also a political idealist. So for him, all these to bring all these things together is definitely, he is explaining all these things very simply. There is no doubt in it that we have to pursue this, we have to pursue this, that, in order to achieve the human unity. But the thing is, we have seen that his ideal of the model of Western model of cosmopolitanism that he is talking about is whether it is actually achievable or not. Because you see, we these days, after the during the time of Aurobindo, he did not visualize the global village or globalization that we are facing these days. But he has set these ideas in his philosophy just to give that the future of mankind can be well maintained if we go in a unified way without disregarding the diversity. Because that is what he is talking about, that it is a type of unity in diversity. That is the idea of the culture, that Indian culture is a unity in diversity. This is actually coming from more prominently in Aurobindo's philosophy. That's why he is propounding a type of cultural nationalism. Now, you see, when we are talking about unity in diversity as the bedrock of his cultural nationalism, he at times also go beyond nationalism and trying to establish a cosmopolitan society. So, if we go on analyzing these things, then we find that Aurobindo's vision, Aurobindo was more a visionary, and we have to take him as a visionary, because he said that only when unity, he is very much optimistic about the possibility or the emergence of unity in society at large. So that is why we can definitely follow his optimism, and at our personal level we will try to see that how far we are able to bring unity amongst the diversity. This simple observation I have to say. Thank you.
Ranjit sir. Kailash sir, will you have any response?
I'm agree with the Professor Ranjit Ghosh that he has clearly depicted the idea of Sri Aurobindo, and he has also understanding on Sri Aurobindo philosophy from different perspective. because he has a deep understanding on Sri Aurobindo, that how he can be called a pragmatist, an idealist, and monist, and so many things, that he had a good understanding on the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo. I don't want to have any comment on that.
Okay, okay. So now I shall request Avinash Srivastava ji, please have your
Yeah,
observation.
thank you, sirs. Thank you very much. And let me first congratulate the learned speaker Kailash Chandra Moharana for his very nice speech. And though I was disconnected several times only because of the poor connection. However, but I have tried to conceive his ideas. I found that Aurobindo had a deep concern about the humanity, and this concern was twofold against the backdrop of the existing socio-political and spiritual situation of his time, as our elder brother Professor Ranjit Ghusda has already explained. Because that time it was the catastrophic Western socio-political and scientific cultural factor, the First World War and the worldwide British imperialism, colonialism, and all-round devastating impact on the Indian nation and its ancient civilizational values. And second was how to rejuvenate India's degrading ancient tradition of a spirituality of man and the world. He found their permanent comprehensive solution in the Hindu spiritual tradition, particularly in the Vedas, Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, along with the Sankhya Buddhism and the integral yoga system. So, the learned speaker has tried to spotlight all these things, how this integration has come or has appeared in his thoughts in a very vivid way. But basically, he was banking on the Advait Vedanta, which he called a perfect integral absolutism, Purna Advaita, a philosophy of non-dualism from the Vedanta and Upanishad, and developed by it an integral philosophy which not only accepts the reality and the plurality of the world, the nature, and the supreme reality of the common essence and ontological status, whose difference continued only at the level or lower level, not at the higher level, but the moment it comes to the higher level, they disappears with the advancement of the mental level of the man. So very nice lecture, sir. Thank you very much. I simply have given an observation because of the poor connection of my internet. I could not listen it properly. Thank you very much, sir, for your learned
Okay,
lectures.
okay, thanks so much, sir.
Dr. Manas, would you have any response?
ठीक, गड़बड़ाया है.
Because the professor has not listened the entire talk of mine. So actually, whatever he had said, that Sri Aurobindo has reflected in the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo. Actually, one can see the integral monism and integralism in integralism of and different aspects that he has exhibited in the philosophy. So whenever he wants to reflect his political philosophy, whenever he reflects his spiritual philosophy, that is everywhere we can find a sort of integralism that is in his the discussion, and one can find the integralism in the idea of the human unity, and that is nothing but that is the transformation of consciousness. when one when one moves, when one transforms from the lower level of consciousness to a higher level of consciousness, then he can see a greater unity around himself, and he can see the real unity that Sri Aurobindo envisages that is in different books. Thanks so much.
Very nice, very nice. This response was very nice. Now I shall request Srinivasan ji. Please have your observation question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was really a very good speech by Professor Dr. Kailash Chandra Moharana relating to Sri Aurobindo's philosophy and harmony. But in my perception, though he was a radicalist, a rationalist, he was trying to make an integration with Western rationalism with Eastern metaphysics. Is something really a little bit I'm strained to understand because I'm not a keen follower, observer of Sri Aurobindo Maharishi's integral yoga or philosophy. But then his philosophy of education was indeed extremely good. I think perhaps Dr. Kailash Chandra Moharana has just missed that link about the educational philosophy of Sri Aurobindo, which would have been nicer if they were highlighted, because he was emphasizing on the physical development and holiness of the children and training them in all senses, in the sense hearing, seeing, speaking, visioning, etc., and achieving mental development of the child. The development of morality was really emphasized by Sri Aurobindo in his philosophy, integrated with the development of conscience, and then the spiritual development. And he also eulogized the political science coupled with education, sociology, and psychology and philosophy. That is the basic foundation for the integral yoga. Though it was very interesting, but still, from my perception, I had to make a deep-rooted study of Sri Aurobindo. However, Mr. Dr. Kailash Chandra Moharana has given a very good speech, but then I would request you to kindly, say some few words on his educational philosophy. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Dr.
you so
Ma'am,
much, sir. Sir, Sri Aurobindo and the mother have tossed every angle of humanism. Sri Aurobindo has talked of science, he has talked of philosophy, he has talked of morality, he has talked of humanity, he has talked of this spiritualizing the human behavior, and he has also said of how humanism needs to become spiritualized for the greater development of human beings and so many things. And he has also great a contribution, that is interior logo or supramental consciousness or the supermind, that for the first time he has said, he has given this concept that, how mind can be a superman, how the matter can be spiritualized into supramental consciousness. And you have also said that, but you have requested that I have not, and you have observed that I haven't gone through the educational philosophy of Sri Aurobindo. I'm conscious of the educational philosophy of Sri Aurobindo, and that is called integral education. I have read the different volumes of Sri Aurobindo's that is integral education, and Sri Aurobindo has beautifully explained that how there will be the physical development, mental development, psychic development, spiritual development. As a result, a child can be a perfect child. A child can grow integrally, and the child can grow that is the consciousness when a child evolves from childhood to adult, and when a child evolves that in different stages of education. So different consciousness, they are evolving, they are being developed. That is it. You can that is and the very beautiful stage is that psychic education. When a child gets psychic education, his consciousness changed, and he can see the world from a different perspective, and his attitude is also changed. And if time will come, then I will speak on the educational philosophy of Sri Aurobindo. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir. You already said about this very nicely. Thank you.
Hello. Uh,
Yes, sir. Please.
Now, I would remind my friends over here uh, about Auroville in Pondicherry. Auroville, which is the city of dawn. It is known as city of dawn. DAWN. Dawn means the very, it is the place of experimentation of this integral education that we find in Pondicherry, because it is an international village, and the concept of global village actually is coming from Auroville. And that Auroville, I had been to Auroville some 30 years back when it was coming out properly, and there actually we find this integral education, and all the nationalities, the students of all nationalities throughout the world, they come and stay there, and they try to enter into the very concept of integral education. Because you see, Aurobindo's scheme of education, the very first premise is definitely a very thought-provoking, that when he says that nothing can be taught. This is the very first thing that Sri Aurobindo says. If nothing can be taught, then how can the education that he is thinking about will come to us? So it is a place. Auroville is a place which is known as the city of dawn, and there actually he is trying to make the experimentation. The Matri Mandir is there, the Sri Ma's and his seeker of eternity. So I should say that Aurobindo and Sri Ma, they were the seekers of eternity in this mortal life. So if Auroville is the place where we get this idea of integral education, the very foundation of it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I shall request Dr. Anup Rai. Sir, please have your observation. Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir, you are not audible, sir. Okay, there might be some network problem. Now I
Sir,
shall
please
request.
unmute yourself. Anup sir.
No,
Anup sir, unmute କରନ୍ତୁ.
he has unmuted.
ଆପଣ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଶୁଭୁନି. Anup sir, please unmute yourself. You are not audible. Sir, you are not audible.
Sir, not audible, sir, not audible. Sir, sound ta badhantu, sir. Please increase the volume. No, not audible, sir. Increase the volume. No, not audible. Sir, take out your microphone, sir. Take out your microphone and talk, sir.
Yes. Now it is audible, sir.
Now speak, sir.
Now it is audible.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Now audible, sir.
Oh, uh, ch- anyway, thanks that I am audible now. So anyway, thanks for your nice presentation. Actually, your paper, Sri Aurobindo and Human Unity. What human unity? Sri Aurobindo, as you know, wanted the unity of the whole. Entire creation has to be united, and evolution and every bit of creation on the world and the universe has a tendency, has an urge within elan vital to grow, to manifest, and that manifestation going from your on even from matters like stone and water, everything. Um, it is the move is through the annamaya existence, then pranamaya existence, then monomaya existence, then to spiritual existence. Everything, everybody bound to move in that direction. So he has not neglected material elements or non-human beings. He says everybody is the part of the unity, one spiritual unit, and human existence is in the midway. Spiritual existence is not the final existence. He is going for a super mind, super existence, and we are in the midway. So that therefore, and because he has taken everything unitedly, everything as a whole, his philosophy, Shankaracharya philosophy is called Advaita Vedanta, Advaitism, Visishtadvaitism of Ramanuja. Sri Aurobindo philosophy is called Purnadvaitavada. Advaitavada, Visishtadvaita, his philosophy is called Purnadvaitavada. Purna, a complete unity, integral monism, therefore his philosophy says. And I sometimes wonder what a great vision he has in himself. He is uniting when we cannot see, think beyond myself. I cannot think beyond myself. He is thinking of even the smallest insects or the stone, and that they are the part of our, they are part of me. It is the part of me. And that vision, that greatness makes Sri Aurobindo is different from others. And his philosophy, therefore, rightly said, integral monism. And your subject, the human unity, is a part of it. The UNO or other human organizations, yes, if they feel a purpose for particular period of time, but ultimately they bound to fail. Ultimately, total humanism is bound to grow up, manifest itself. Thank you.
Dr. Maharana.
Thanks so much, sir. Sri Aurobindo has very beautifully studied the uh, Western culture, Western education, Indian culture, and Indian education. And he has also he is also said to be a bridge between Western and Eastern. And to fight and his innovation is that the way he has given importance to matter, and for the first time he has given supremacy to matter. The matter is everything. So that is in matter we can find the spirit. So it is the consciousness, it is the human consciousness, it is the higher consciousness. If that higher consciousness is developed within us by yoga, by meditation, or by our okay consciousness, then we can have
Yoga.
the unity with the nature, unity with human beings, unity with everything of the world. So his philosophy is called as that it's a he's a monist, and he cannot ignore anything, because in Shankaracharya philosophy we can find that Shankaracharya has given a view that the world is false. Brahmaji Satya and Jagat Mithya. But Sri Aurobindo has said that Brahma Satya, Jagat is also Satya. He has not ignored everything. He has given priority to matter because that is in his evolution that the highest consciousness will descend into matter because spirit is there, because consciousness is there, and the spirit can also find its proper place. So he has given a primacy to matter. Thanks so much, sir.
Yes, he has given privacy to matter. Yeah, right.
Yes, now I shall invite Dr. Rao. Rao sir, please.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Das, and also thank Dr. Kailash Moharana, sir, for a nice lecture. What I could see is a spiritual thread in Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, and it is this thread that can bring about human unity. Because as long as the rationality goes in, we cannot bring about an inner unity that Sri Aurobindo is trying to achieve. So what the point that I want to see is when Sri Aurobindo is talking of transformation of the lower to the higher, he is talking about the transformation of every individual entity out there in the universe out to that spiritual nature. It is only to that elevation we can talk of a unity and a inner unity. Aurobindo is not talking about the external unity. He is more concerned about the inner unity. When Professor Maharana was speaking about the religion of humanity, his focus was a sort of transformation from what he said, intellectual. He made a distinction between intellectual and the spiritual, and also talked about transformation from the intellectual to the spiritual. So what I could see is the spiritual transformation, and it is in this transformation lies a human unity in the inner sense, in the true sense that Aurobindo is trying to achieve it. And this reminds me of a talk that I recently heard during a Sri Aurobindo discourse. Somebody questioned Sri Aurobindo, "Are you God?" So Sri Aurobindo replied, "Yes, I am." And at the same time, he said, "You too are. But the problem is, I have realized, but you did not realize." And that is the difference. So the difference lies here. So we are all spiritual beings with a bodily covering. We take the bodily covering as the reality, all forwarding the spirit. So this spiritual unity, this human unity can be brought in, okay, in an inner way only when there is a spiritual realization. And this is the motto, I think, which Sri Aurobindo is trying to move it. Okay, and this also reminds me of a recent reading by Gaur Gopal Das. Maybe he might be influenced by Sri Aurobindo, wherein in his book Life's Amazing Secrets, Gaur Gopal Das writes, "We are not human beings. We are not human beings with spiritual experiences. I repeat, we are not human beings with spiritual experiences. Rather, we are spiritual beings with human experiences. We are spiritual beings with human experiences." So this is the idea maybe from Sri Aurobindo. So it is only when we realize we are spiritual beings, it is only then there can be a true human unity. So let me know from Dr. Maharana whether I am on the right path in understanding him and the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo.
No. Actually, you are on the right path. That you have also a good understanding of Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, and Sri Aurobindo, Sri Aurobindo wants to spiritualize everything, and you can also, if you have any experience of going to Aurobindo, and Aurobindo is a global village, and where he wants to establish the human unity, and it's like a evolution towards human unity. And Aurobindo, this the city of dawn, and where he has experienced the integral education, and and to spiritualize everything. And you have a good understanding of Sri Aurobindo philosophy, and he wants to spiritualize everything because his spirit, his philosophy is called a spiritual philosophy. And as a professor Ranjit sir has said, Sri Aurobindo has been or can be called different kind of philosophers. So he's an idealist, he's a pragmatist, he's a practical philosopher, he's a spiritual philosopher, he's a political philosopher, he's a Mohajogi, and he's everything. And you have also a good understanding of Sri Aurobindo philosophy.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
thank you, thank.
Hello. One thing I want to say, the confusion starts with this, that he is talking about political unity, administrative unity, not only at the national level but also at the international level. So these political and administrative unities are all mechanical unities. But in
Sir.
fact, he is trying to establish a spiritual unity of mankind. Okay, so
Sir.
a person, can a person who is aspiring for spiritual unity can also bring all these type of unities because maybe these are the stepping stone in his mind. We do not know what he had in his mind. Maybe he thought that these things are the stepping stone, so that this will lead us a type of spiritual unity, and that will be the unity for the humanity. So this is just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now we shall listen to Ruma, madam. Madam, please have your observation.
Namaskar. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um, thank you, Dr. Kailash Chandraji. You brought back memories of my personal visit to Auroville. And when I went there and I entered the ashram, really I felt the rays of the sun, And yes, that is how the concept of the global village started, from the philosophy of Aurobindo. And I also later had the blessing of visiting his ashram also in Kolkata. And I saw that the philosophy that took birth from his visionary heart really has a very deep meaning. It definitely recognizes each being, human being, as a spiritual being in a human body. But my personal experience at Auroville, mother was then very active, and um, uh, what I felt, that the kind of education they are thinking about is not the book education, because I personally saw how the centers were running over there, and it was more skill development. So it was not that a human being is to be forced into education, the book knowledge or whatever, but whatever God given by the spiritual authority, whatever we have been given, we are supposed to develop that. So I saw education in a new facet over there. And then, when as one went around the centers and we saw how paper was being developed, how cards were being designed, I mean, anyone could do anything that he was blessed with. And I think that itself was the greatest education I got in Auroville. And also the spirit of oneness, because as one looked around, someone is talking in French and someone is talking in English, and the localites were talking in the local dialect in Pondicherry, and yet we are all one. We are all one. So and of course I do believe that Aurobindo's philosophy had to be different, because he lived through the wars, you know. So maybe, anyway, I always feel that philosophy is our thought process that is seeking idealistic situations. This is how I see philosophy, and I would like to define it. And therefore, when Aurobindo saw the wars, perhaps, you know, I, in my own humble way, I would feel that he would say, after all, why are human beings fighting when they look alike and they grow up alike and they live alike? Why are they fighting? And so perhaps that's where he wanted to say that please believe that you're spiritual beings, you know. Let us believe we are in oneness anyway, and the diversions are coming only because we are in different bodies. But Dr. Kailash Chandraji, thank you very much. And all our friends who have, you know, discussed further today's talk, you know, they have added to my own understanding of Aurobindo and Mother. And I hope that every Sunday as we get together, we are equally blessed, all of us. And with today's evening's blessings, again, thank you very much, Dr. Kailash Chandraji, and thank you, Professor Das, for heading our family. Thank you. Namaskar.
Okay, so Pranam madam, actually, you have rightly said some words of Aurobindo, that you know that Aurobindo established in the year of 1968, and it has to aspire to fulfill the object of the society, and one can get the individual freedom, and you know how a harmonious living of several nations that is there in Auroville. And the highest aspiration of the Auroville is to divinize the humanity. So it is the object of Auroville is to divinize the humanity. And mother has this object in his mind, have this mission in her mind, and they established Auroville. And in Auroville, you can find that is a brighter example of a human unity. How the people of different countries are there, how they are getting education, how they are aspiring the divinity, how they are leading a life of spirituality. Thanks so much, madam.
Thank you. Namaskar.
So now we shall conclude here. If anybody has any question, I am giving only half minute. Any response from anybody? Okay. Very good discussion, very good presentation. I am really happy, and I love the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo, and it has its reason. Because the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo is unique in the sense. Am I audible properly?
Yes, audible, professor.
Uh, as Ranjit Ghosh sir said, and Anup sir also said that it is Purna Advaita. It means when others speak about unity, they avoid other concepts. But in the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo, unity is not discussed, unity is not thought of at the cost of diversity. That means in the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo, nothing is taken at the cost of anything. Therefore, it is integral. Therefore it is integral means it is the whole together where nothing is excluded. This is the greatness of his philosophy. In Odisha, we have a great culture of Mahima Dharma. There we discuss about Sunya Advaita. Aurobindo's philosophy is Purna Advaita. These concepts are very interesting. Sunya and Purna, they are same. It is a separate thing we shall discuss later. So this is the philosophy. In the philosophy of descent and ascent. Once we understand the philosophy of a philosopher, with then only we can understand its application on society, on politics, on education, and on every aspect of human life. In metaphysics, if we really understand how ascent and descent, they are intimately connected, because there is the possibility of ascending is there only because the higher possibility descends into the uh, lower possibility. Very clearly Dr. Moharana said that matter is also important because therein there is the spirit. So matter is not without spirit, spirit is not without matter. So in every lower possibility, there is the possibility of the higher integrity. This is the greatness of his philosophy. If we once we understand this philosophy, then we can jump to we can apply it to the different aspects of human life. For example, suppose human unity is the highest principle. If it descends, if it will start descending, then it will be reflected in education, it will be reflected in politics, it will be reflected in society. So we have to understand the basic principle that all human beings are one, all there is only one soul. As in Upanishad it is said that I see everything in me and I see myself in everything. If we understand this great philosophy, see Aurobindo, no philosopher is we can say that there is not a single philosopher who is not biased by, who is not influenced by the teachings of Upanishads. So this is the teaching of Upanishad, that I see myself in everything and I see everything in myself. Okay. So this is the understanding of the unity. Unity in the metaphysics sense, in the sense of a metaphysics. So there is unity in the cosmos. Very beautifully, Dr. Moharana said that intellectual religion and spiritual religion. That means there are three levels of understanding, levels of human inquiry. We are satisfied by our perception, that is science. We are satisfied by our intellectuality, that is philosophy. And beyond that, we should have our own realization, that is spirituality. So far as perception is concerned, or scientific approach is concerned, we have a limit to it. We can't think, we can't go beyond that through that method. So science has its own limit. If we focus on rationality, if we focus on the power of mind in the sense of in the logical mind, in the sense of, because there are different steps of mind, different levels of mind, different levels of consciousness. So the logical mind is one step where rationality functions, where intellectuality functions. It has also its own limit. So Sri Aurobindo inspires us go beyond science and philosophy and step into the realm of realization, and that is spirituality. Therefore, very beautifully, Ranjit sir said that education cannot be taught, because such education cannot be taught in the classroom. Such education cannot be taught. Many times I have referred this, that even in the Bhagavad Gita it is also said, one cannot have transformation by reading scriptures, by reading shastras, by reciting those slokas 1,000 times. It is impossible. Even not through teachers, even not through any religion, not through any philosophy. any bada, vivada. No, it is impossible. Therefore, education cannot be taught in that sense, because the ultimate education is self-realization, and the target is transformation. That we should have our better version day by day. What I was yesterday, I should have a better version today and tomorrow. So this is the purpose of evolution in cosmology and also in human psyche. Human psyche. Why man is given priority? Because man has the possibility of rationality and spirituality. Others, animals can perceive. Animals also feel pleasure and pain. Animals have also emotion, but they don't have logical mind, and they don't have spiritual realization. This is the difference. Therefore, man is given so much importance in every philosophy, not only in the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo. In every philosophy, man has become the center position. But there is a difference. If we shall focus on the materialism, the philosophy, materialistic philosophy, they take man as the that everything is for man. Anthropocentric view, that everything is meant for man. This is a negative approach. That man is the center of everything means the nature, the everything, the creation is only meant for man. Man will enjoy everything. No, spiritualism does not say that. Man is the center of everything in that sense. Man is the guru. Man is the teacher. Man has the possibility of a spiritual realization. Transformation is very quick, very speed, very expedite in human beings. So very nicely, Dr. Moharana, because he has practical experience. So our philosophy of Sri Aurobindo becomes pragmatic when we apply the metaphysics of Sri Aurobindo in different fields like education, like politics. Therefore, a good philosopher can become a good political leader. A good philosopher can become a very good administrator, uh, because his understanding is very matured and his understanding is very broad. That is that selflessness service can be expected from a great philosopher who is grounded with his own realization. The very beautifully Ranjit sir said, education cannot be taught. It is, but Krishnamurti focused on education in the general sense that education from the class, from the school level, um, when we deal with the children whose minds are not so much mature, they should be given proper education. Therefore, Sri Aurobindo schools are there, and that very beautifully this school is called. What is called, sir?
Integral education. Integral
Integral
education.
education. Very beautiful. And it's Odia. Purnanga
Purnanga Sikha Kendra.
Sikha Kendra.
Purnanga
So
Sikha Kendra.
yes,
Purnanga.
yes, yes, yes. And so it is very inspiring. And the so Sri Aurobindo has focused on education, has focused on politics, has focused on society. But these are all ascending process. These are possible because there is a descending method. That descending is the realization of a human unity, realization of integrality, realization of Purna Advaita. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your beautiful presentation. And today, I enjoyed the comments, remarks, observations of all the viewers, learned viewers. Professor Ranjit Ghosh sir, Anup Rai sir, Srinivasan ji, Roma madam, Dr. Rao, and others. Thank you all. Thank you. Now over to Dr. Rao for vote of thanks. If anybody has any response, can speak for 2 minutes. Okay, Dr. Rao.
Thank you, Professor Das, for your final comments. Very nicely done. And so I should thank first of all Dr. Kailash Chandra Moharana sir for his beautiful thought, for his beautiful talk, and that has brought in a lot of good discussion. very nicely initiated by Dr. Ranjit Ghosh sir, and later on carried on by Professor Srivastav and others, Krishnamurti sir, Roma madam, and others. So I think this discussion has really helped all of us to understand the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo and the spiritual thread that is always contained in every aspect of Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, which we need to take into light. And also see Professor Anup Roy joining after a long time. Also thank him for his observations and his comments. So in a line, I should thank the speaker for having an initiative to speak on Sri Aurobindo, with whose philosophy is practically connected. So all we talk about integrated education and all that, well, we talk in theory, but he's a man who practices Aurobindo's philosophy, being connected with the various programs that are initiated in Aurobindo schools and ashrams. So that's how Dr. Maharana is closely connected with Sri Aurobindo's philosophy and his teachings. So I should thank him for making aware about the various aspects of Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, and also thank Dr. Ranjit Ghosh sir, Anup Rai sir, Roma Vani madam, Sri Krishnamurti sir, and Avinash Srivastav sir, and others who commented and who raised issues on the talk of Dr. Kailash Moharana, and the discussions that followed really helped all of us in understanding the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo. So with this words, I thank all of them, and also thank all the participants for being connected and to this philosophy of Sri Aurobindo. Well, Professor Ghosh, Ranjit Ghosh sir wants to
Yes,
say
yes.
something.
Sabani madam has
We
also Sabani madam has also actually put her
some
observation. Sabani madam.
Yes,
we also
Shravani madam.
we have to keep in mind what Dr. Rao has said. That is most important. I am the God, you are also the God, and that is the beginning of spirituality.
Yes, yes,
So
yes,
we
yes,
should
yes,
not ignore this thing. Dr. Rao has mentioned this very important thing. That is the thing. That is the beginning of spirituality. Thank you, Dr. Rao.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. And this is what I learned from a talk in a Sri Aurobindo discourse. And beautifully, that is the point. Actually, we have not realized ourselves, and that is the point which Dr. Kailash Maharana has to still more develop on seeing this realization possible through the techniques that Sri Aurobindo talks of. So, with these words, I thank all the participants for being connected with Philosophy Family webinar and making this evening so beautiful, so successful. So, I thank everybody. And also thanks Ramani Madam, who also had some comments in the chat box, and thanking all. And I thank our admin for being actively putting himself since last 2.5 years or 3 years, connecting with people, bringing in more and more people, and even though the participation is less, we don't mind. We carry on this process, and someday will come. We are just evolving. Maybe someday we'll evolve a lot, and with this hope of better evolution, okay, we keep on this process on and on, and may God bless us to keep on this process continuing. Thank you, everybody, for making this evening so successful and beautiful. Thank you all. Over to
Gratitude,
Pramod Das, sir.
gratitude to everybody. Okay,
Yes, yes.
gratitude from my side to one and all.
We all
Over to
have
Pramod Das, sir, for declaring the meeting
Thank you,
closed.
sir.
Yes,
Thank
we
you,
Sri
sir.
Chandra wants
Thank
to
you.
say something.
we we
Thank you very much.
all we all have attitude of gratitude. With the sense of gratitude, this session is declared closed. Thank you all. Thank you.